There are two types of people in this world. Just two. It's pretty simple. Those that look for problems, those that look for solutions, and that's it. Those that look for problems are good at saying what's wrong, who did them wrong, why they did them wrong, how they did them wrong, etc. If you're looking for problems, it's easy to do that. What they fail to do, however, is offer any meaningful solutions. That brings me to the topic of this episode: the fail of Black Lives Matters again. I did one little segment on this about a year or two ago, something like that. I'm coming back to it again because once again, Black Lives Matters is in the news. They're doing their thing now. Nothing against that movement or people that support that movement, but I think it's flawed in one way. It's focused outward, convincing others Black Lives Matters, convincing others to treat Afro Americans with respect, acceptance, and whatnot. That's flawed. That goes nowhere. It doesn't accomplish anything because you can't control what others do. And it's useless to try to do so. They point out the problems in society, in the United States when it comes to treatment of Black Americans, which, has some merit, but it doesn't fix anything. That's why all these years later, they're still in action. They're still having to make moves, make marches, make protests. They still have to do all these things because they have not accomplished their goal. And because in a way their goal is impossible to accomplish. Now looking for solutions is a very logical it's a very logical process. Many times it takes you straight to the source. Okay. And the source always starts with the individual. It always does. You can't change anyone else, but you can always change yourself. You can always control yourself. So always start there. So looking for solutions, you start with the individual. How the individual feels about themselves, how they treat themselves, how they relate to the world. That's number one. And that's where Black Lives Matters, it fails. It's too busy focused on what the greater mainstream society, i.e. the white society, is doing to us, thinks about us, etc. They want acceptance from us. Which I guess you look at the who founded it, the movement, it makes sense because these are academic types. All their life they've been outcasts and they felt marginalized. Okay. So they made a movement that speaks to their issues. That's what they did. So don't assume because it's called Black Lives Matters, it necessarily addresses the feelings and the motivations of all blacks. It doesn't. It's another faction and political movement. I'm gonna make a segment about the political breakdowns amongst African Americans. I'm gonna stop using the word black because it's not our term. I mean, it got put on us just like the N word and other terms that get put on us, and so we're supposed to embrace those. And it's based on color, which is inaccurate because very few of us can even be classified as black by color. And it's not what our ancestors called themselves. They didn't call themselves black. They called themselves just people. That's where we need to get to, being people again. But back to finding solutions. Start with yourself. It's that simple. You start with yourself. You treat yourself better. Treat those around you better. Treat people like you would want to be treated. It's that simple. Start there. There's no legislation in Congress needed. There's no movement. There's no donations needed. None of that. None of that. You start yourself. When you look in the mirror, you make a change with yourself first. Enough people do that, and that's how the world will improve. That's how the condition for Afro Americans will improve overall. That's where we start. That's where we get that. That's where you start to do. That's when you become serious about. So I want anyone listening to this, block out the outside world for a moment. Block it all out. Don't think about Trump. Don't think about police. Don't think about your baby mama, baby daddy, your cousin, nephew, mama, anybody. Don't think about anybody. Just seriously stop for a moment. Think about you and how you can be better, not just in terms of as a African American person, but as a person in general. Because that's where we want to get to. We want to get to just being you're just a person. You're just the people. That's what our ancestors referred to themselves as, just the people. And that's you need to get back to being just a person and be the best person you can. Might sound cliche, but that's your goal. Now it's up to you to define what exactly that means. You got to find your own answers in life, but start with yourself, focus on yourself a little bit more. Let the world get out of your head. Get the world out of your head. Get other people's perceptions of you out of your head, and just sit down and take a good look inside. All right, that's it for today.